Final update. I spent my savings to put my boyfriend through medical school. At his graduation party, in front of his family, he announced he was leaving me, saying, "I'm a doctor now. I need a wife who isn't a waitress." I just smiled and toasted to his success. This morning, the medical board called him about his application, and my phone hasn't stopped ringing. You want to talk about what you deserve? You deserve to pay your debts. The total is at the bottom, $214,350. The entire table was silent. Alex stared at the pages, his mouth hanging open. He looked like he couldn't breathe. His mom was openly sobbing now, and his dad just looked empty, staring at the invoice like it was a death certificate. I picked up my purse and my coffee cup. "I think we're done here," I said. I looked right at Robert. "I expect to be contacted about a payment plan. Otherwise, my next meeting will be with an actual lawyer, not a pretend one." I turned and walked away. I could feel every eye in the restaurant on me. I walked right up to the front counter, put my apron on, and said to my manager, "Okay, I'm ready for my shift." He just looked at me with this huge smile and said, "You are a rock star." Walking away from that table, leaving them in the middle of the mess they had created, felt better than any graduation ever could. Final update. Hey everyone, it's been about 6 months since my last update, and I think it's finally time to close the book on this whole saga. So much has happened, and almost all of it is good. First, the official fallout for Alex. About a month after the showdown at the restaurant, Chloe texted me. She sent me a screenshot of an official notice from the university's Student Affairs office. They had concluded their investigation and found Alex guilty on all counts of academic fraud. His medical degree was officially and permanently revoked. A few weeks after that, the state licensing board released its own decision, which was public record. His application for a medical license was denied with prejudice, meaning he is permanently barred from ever practicing medicine in this state. He's not a doctor. He'll never be a doctor. All of that sacrifice, all of his lies and cheating, it was all for nothing. Now for the money. About 2 weeks after the restaurant meeting, a courier showed up at my apartment. He had a big, important-looking envelope from Robert Hartman's law firm. Inside was a cashier's check for the full $214,350. I just stared at it for probably 10 minutes. It wasn't just a piece of paper. It was my freedom. It was my 20s back. It was every double shift, every skipped meal, every tear I cried, all rolled up into one beautiful, crisp check. I didn't even cry. I just folded it up, put it in my purse, and walked to the bank. The feeling of seeing that number appear in my own bank account was indescribable. The very next day, I walked into my job, found my manager, and gave him my 2 weeks notice. He just gave me a massive hug and said, "It's about time." On my last day, the entire staff threw a surprise party for me. They all pitched in and bought me a beautiful set of professional chef's knives. My friend Sarah gave a little speech about how proud she was of me for finally choosing myself. I definitely cried then, but they were happy tears. It was the perfect goodbye to a life that was no longer mine. So, what did I do with the money? The first thing I did was call my dentist and get my tooth fixed. Best $1,000 I ever spent. After that, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I applied to the best culinary institute in the state. I used a chunk of the money to pay the entire tuition up front. No loans, no budgets, no stress. My first day of class was terrifying and amazing. I was surrounded by people who were all there because they loved food. The work was intense, way harder than I ever imagined. We worked 12-hour days learning everything from butchering a chicken to making a perfect hollandaise sauce. But I loved every single second of it. The long hours didn't kill me. They fueled me. Because this time, the work was for me. I discovered I had a real talent for baking and pastries, a kind of patient, precise work that I found incredibly peaceful. My old life was about running around serving other people's creations. My new life was about creating something beautiful with my own 2 hands. I graduated at the top of my class 2 months ago. And then I started looking for a space. I spent weeks searching for the perfect spot, and I finally found it. It's a small, sunny corner shop in a great neighborhood right on a busy street. Last week, I signed the lease. My lawyer, a real one that I hired myself, looked over the whole thing. I'm standing in that empty space right now. The walls are still bare and it smells like fresh paint. But if I close my eyes, I can see it. I can see the little tables, the pastry case full of things I've made, the espresso machine humming. There's a huge banner hanging in the front window. It says, "Coming soon." And underneath, in beautiful gold letters, is the name I chose. It's called the Grateful Waitress Bistro. I haven't heard a word from Alex or his family since that day. Other than the check arriving, Chloe and I text sometimes, just checking in. She told me Alex had to get a job as a clerk at a shipping company. He's living in his parents' basement. He's a ghost of the big, important man he thought he was going to be. It's funny. He told me I should be grateful for the ride he took me on. But the truth is, I'm just grateful I got off. I wouldn't be here in my own almost restaurant if he hadn't shown me his true colors. He thought my life as a waitress was small, but he didn't realize that from my vantage point, I saw everything. I saw kindness and cruelty. I saw love and lies. I learned how to read people, how to be patient, and how to work harder than anyone else in the room. He thought my job was a weakness, but in the end, it was my superpower. Thank you all again for being on this journey with me. The next time you hear from me, it will hopefully be with an invitation to the grand opening.